Hi, this is Margaret, and welcome to Color Quest, and welcome back to Zaragoza in Spain. I'm here visiting two of my daughters. One is my birth daughter, and the other is one of our dear friends that I like to consider to be a stepdaughter. And she's actually helping me doing some filming, so thank you, Carrie. Last week, while we were here, I had taken some bamboo from trees that I had access to in the Netherlands and did a very simple botanical print using the bamboo for their shape and taking advantage of the iron tannin reaction to create a very simple design. I got a wonderful surprise where the leaves actually also created beautiful yellow, and I was very happy with the overall result, and it was so easy to do. Today I want to look to see if I can find some local tannin from Zaragoza and work a little bit more with iron and create a very simple bundled pattern. So let's take a walk through this park here in Zaragoza and see if we can't find some tannin and create a design that I will be able to take with me to remember my time here in Zaragoza. So when you travel, you have to take advantage of where you are, and looking for different kinds of natural color in your local environment is such a cool way to connect in a different way when you are touring an area that you have never been to. And over the course of many years, I've been lucky enough to do that on this channel and share that exploration with you. Today, I'm going to walk through this city park here in Zaragoza and see what kind of tannin options I can find from the local flora. So in essence, I'm going to be looking at trees. Now, trees can have tannin in all different kinds of ways. We can get tannin from leaves, which we use in botanical printing, but we can also get tannin from things like bark and the wood in sticks and branches, as well as seeds. So things like acorns and other tree nuts are great places to find tannin. So let's walk through this park and see what options we might have, and then hopefully we'll be able to collect some, bring it back, and take advantage of the tannin iron process to create some patterns with grays and blacks using local flora. So I am in a beautiful city park in the middle of Zaragoza. Lots of trees in this park that I think we'll be able to find some kind of tannin to work with. So the first one I wanted to look at was this pine tree. Now we know we can get tannins from pine needles because I've had a video here working with that, actually loved it. We can also get tannin from things like their cones. And this tree is filled with cones, as you can see. But interestingly enough, in Spain, they're very, very quick to clean their parks, and it's been hard to find things like cones that have fallen down. So cones are not going to be what we look at today, but it is an option. We could also work with bark. Bark's a great one where I can find some tannin, so that would be an option here. Another tree that I was super curious about is the gumnut tree. There's a lot of gumnut trees here, and they have these seed pods, which I had hoped I could get to, but in fact I haven't been able to find any on the ground. But these spiky gumnut balls are another place where I probably could get some tannin. I also love the bark of the gumnut tree. It's so beautiful. It is, I believe, in the eucalyptus family, and it has such an interesting patterns, and I'm sure I could get tannin from the bark. As I was walking around, I found another tree, and I could actually access this. It is the Terra tree. And that is something I haven't seen since I was in Peru. Let's go look at that. So as I was walking through this park, I saw this tree behind me. Can you see it there? And I was like, what in the world are those? Super low hanging to the ground, and they look to be ginormous seed pods. As I got closer, I noticed the shape of the leaves on the tree, and I immediately recognized it as a taro tree. And I know that the pods from taro tree can be ground up and made into a wonderful tannin. It is a lighter colored tannin, and I have tried it a time or two here. It is something that they use in Peru for a tannin. And although I can't turn these pods into powder, I figured let's collect some and see if we can't create a tannin bath so that we could make some patterned designs with tannin and iron. So let's grab some of those pods. Okay, next day, I've let those taro pods soak overnight in the hot water just to kind of get those fibers loosened up and hopefully releasing some more of the tannin. I have now let them cook on the stove for about an hour just to try to pull some of that tannin out. What I'm going to do is work on a binding technique. It's called Cloud, one of my favorite, with a cotton napkin. We'll bind it together and we'll put that into the tannin bath. And the idea is that we'll only be getting the tannin in the areas that are exposed to the dye bath. And after, we'll open it up, we'll tie it again. This time, same cloud technique, but we will change it up a little bit so that some of the tannin is exposed and some of it isn't, and then we will be introducing it to an iron bath. The idea here, I hope, is that we will get some white left on the cotton itself that hasn't seen anything all bundled up in there. The tannin color in the areas that then get bundled again, don't know what that's going to be, have no idea how rich in tannin these taro pods are, but experimentation, you know? And then the third area will be where the tannin and the iron meet. So hopefully we'll have 3 colors on our end result. But let's bundle up in a cloud formation our cotton napkin. We'll put that into water for a little bit of time just to sort of soften it up, and then we'll get that into the tannin bath. All right, so here is my piece of cotton, and I have rubber bands. This is what I'm going to use to bundle at the very end. This is a cloud technique. It's super simple. I love it. All you do in this is you scrunch up a little bit of material like this, and then take it and you turn it. And then we're going to keep bunching up like that, and we'll do that again like this, and then we'll flip it. And I do this until I have all of the material bunched up like so. We'll flip it again. And this is super loose technique, obviously. Just looking to get some kind of a, well, it's called the cloud. It's just supposed to look like what you might see in the sky. So for this, I'll probably finish up, pull these in. And I should end up with, maybe flip it one more time, this bundle here, like this, that I can just kind of hold like so. And now I'm going to start putting rubber bands on it. And you might have some pieces that kind of try to escape, but that's okay. Again, this is not meant to be perfect, which is why I like it so much. The tighter I tie these, the less likely the tannin is going to go in to those spaces. So I don't want it too tight, otherwise I'm not going to get any tannin on the inside. So with this, I'll probably pull it a bit out to loosen it up. I might take a rubber band or two off once I put it into the water to soak, and then we'll get it into the tannin bath. So I retied it or rebundled it, and I didn't do it quite as tight. I want to see if I can get some iron in mixed around in there. I have my iron water that I used in the last video for the bamboo, and you can see it all settled to the bottom. You can reuse iron water again and again. So what I'm going to do is stir it up. All right. Let's see if we have any reaction here. Let it sit for a little while. We have very little tannin. I don't know. We'll see. See if we get any interaction at all. I'll let that sit and I'll come back. So here's what we have. You can barely see the design element, but it's there. So you can see there's some grays, and that's where the tannin interacted with the iron. We have some variation of tannin colored, just sort of beige fiber, a little bit more of the reaction out there, but it's super faint. Now, this piece of fiber has been sitting in iron, so I have an idea. Let's do some experimentation. So here's my idea. I'm traveling, right? And when you travel, and also just when you're in your home studio, things don't always go the way you hope. And I would say that the tannin that I got from doing a stovetop soak and heat of the Terra was okay, but it wasn't that strong. And so therefore it didn't react that much with the iron. Again, okay, right? Experimentation. But now I thought, you know what? That piece of fiber has been sitting in iron. What if we introduced another tannin to the mix? And in this instance, since I'm getting ready to leave again, I started poking around and I thought, what about black tea? I have black tea where I'm staying. What if I just made a really strong brew of black tea, which has tannin, and see if I couldn't do some more interaction with that on top. I have no idea if this is gonna work or how it's gonna turn out, but this is what curiosity is all about. So let's brew ourselves some black tea, which has the strongest content of tannin of the teas, and then we will rebind the fiber one more time in a cloud and put it into the tea, let it soak, and maybe it will have a completely different reaction to the iron that's already on the fiber. All right, it's been soaking for a couple of hours now, and I thought it would be cool to take it out and see what we got and decide if we're gonna put it back in. Well, friends, this is a perfect video about the unexpected. So I had assumed that by putting the fiber into very strong tea, it would have interacted more with the iron that was already on the fiber itself. I'm going to show you what happened. Didn't get much of a result, actually, but that's not going to stop me. And that's probably going to be the main point of this video, is don't give up. Just because something doesn't work the way you expect, keep going. Keep trying things. I think it's always important to try to limit your expectations and just keep curiosity and wonder as part of your exploration in natural dyeing, because that will open up doors to things you didn't expect, and also you will learn a lot. So what have I learned so far? Cooking pteropods doesn't appear to bring about a lot of tannin, although it did bring me some color. Also, the pre-soaking of iron onto my cotton after I worked with the Terra didn't seem to do much when it was introduced to black tea. I know black tea doesn't have a ton of tannin. I have had a few videos here where I've played around with that, and I have gotten some results. But in this instance, I say let's do one more step. Let's fold it back up, then let's put it back into an iron bath for our final attempt to try to see some darker colors coming through with that tannin iron interaction. After that, we'll call it. Let's take a look at what we have right now. So I think it's probably hard to see, but I do have some variations. I have different kinds of sort of saddening. This is where I would assume that we had iron and an interaction at some level with tannins. The overall piece has gotten darker, and that would be definitely just from overdying with teas, but it's super subtle. And if you were to look at this from distance, I think you would maybe not even think that there was a pattern in there. I can see the cloud pattern, but let's bundle that back up and try one last time in iron, see what we get. Okay, well, let's take a quick look at the results, but as you can probably tell, we didn't get too much of a difference. We definitely had some darkening of probably where the tea was into that grayish color, which is very pretty, but overall it almost just looks like a stained piece of cloth. I wanted to show you the results, but the lighting is just glorious, but not great for filming this morning. Just trust me. Wasn't a great result. It was an excellent experiment though, and that's really, I think, what the point of this video has become, is when you see something and you're curious about it, try it out. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Just keep trying, tweaking, changing things, and don't give up. And now I've learned a lot. I believe pretty strongly that the pteropods in the form of coming from a tree and then simply trying to boil them didn't bring about as much tannin as I would have hoped, and that's also okay. It was fun to find that terra tree no matter what as I was traveling, and always fantastic to bring you along to experiment. And now I just have this wonderful piece of cotton that I can use in something else, and trust me, I will. It'll be a beautiful base for another project here at Color Quest. Now next time on Color Quest, I'm getting ready to jump on a transatlantic sailing from Barcelona to Tampa, Florida. I'm heading home. And unlike last spring, where I went the other direction and had many ports of call and could look at flora and fauna at each one of those to make some fantastic postcards. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out. This time, I have very few ports of call, and so I'm going to limit myself to a different kind of natural color, and that is in the form of rusty scrap metal that I find along the way. So wherever you are, have an incredible week, and I can't wait to see you next time, seaside, on Color Quest. Very simple botanical print using those as, please, flies. Using the bamboo for their shape